Dear viewers, welcome back to Offbeat Gyan. This episode provides you with part 1 of the summary of Anton Chekhov's complex story, Ward Number 6. It is actually a very long short story because it has been divided into several sections. It is much longer than the conventional short story and it is much shorter than the novella. So, probably that is why it has been categorized as a short story. Anton Chekhov. Anton Chekhov is a very famous Russian playwright, writer, thinker, and doctor. And Ward Number 6 is a deeply disturbing and complex story by him. The story was published in 1892 and it examines the conflict between reality and philosophy. It also reminds us that it is very easy for a normal, sane person like us to be declared mad and confined in a lunatic asylum or a mad people's hospital. Andrei Yefimich, Moiseika, and Gromov are haunting characters who represent the powerlessness of ordinary human beings when confronted by an indifferent and apathetic set of people. Apathy means indifference when you don't care about others, when you really don't give a damn about what is going to happen to you or to others. Then you are apathetic, you are indifferent. The story looks at how people justify their inaction by using philosophy and intellect. It begins with the description of a lunatic asylum in a provincial hospital in Russia. This hospital is a very depressing and sad place. The main hospital has the regular patients, and there is a lodge like structure within that compound where the mad patients are housed. The whole hospital is actually very dirty and depressing, and the conditions in the hospital suggest indiscipline and lack of control. The condition of the lodge where the ward number 6 is located, that is much worse. It is dirty, it is filled with all kinds of hospital waste, and the place looks very desolate and depressing. There is a porter called Nikita. He is middle aged and surly, and he is someone who listens to orders. He does not exercise his own brain at any point of time, and the only thing that he excels at is beating up the patients on a daily basis, and he beats them very brutally. Most of the time, what he does is he lies on the piled up waste outside the ward number 6 in a room that is the entry to the ward number 6, and he keeps on smoking. So, after the room where Nikita, the porter, is located, there is a large room with black and smoky ceiling and dirty blue walls. The wooden floor is grey and the room smells of sour cabbage, bugs, and ammonia. The cots are screwed to the floor, and all the patients are dressed in blue hospital gowns and they have nightcaps on their head. There are 5 patients in the ward, and one of them belongs to the upper class. All the others are artisans or skilled workmen. Near the door, there is a tall, lean workman who keeps looking at one point. He's always very sad and he smiles bitterly. He never answers questions and he eats whatever is given to him. He looks very sickly, as if he has tuberculosis. The next one is Moiseka. This is a childish, gay, and lively Jew. Gay in the old sense of the word, not in the sense of homosexuality. Gay means happy, somebody who keeps smiling. He became insane when his factory burned down 20 years ago. He is the only patient who is allowed to go out of the hospital, probably because he is harmless. He is not dangerous. And people were used to seeing him on the street. He used to walk barefoot on the streets. He did not have any footwear. And it's a very cold country. Russia is a very cold country. So this man, he used to walk out on the streets without any footwear. The children and the dogs used to chase him, and he used to beg for a few coins for food. When he returned to the ward, he would be treated brutally by Nikita, who searched his pockets and took away any money he had. Moiseka used to help the other patients, and he did not help the other patients because he felt like doing it. It was something that he did under the influence of another patient called Gromov. Ivan Dmitrich Gromov. He was a 33-year-old upper class intellectual, the third patient in ward number 6. He had been a court usher and a provincial secretary. He suffered from paranoia, the fear, a perpetual fear of something going to trap him, something coming to trap him, and this fear of persecution haunted him. So he was always in a tense state. He suffered from a blend of fears, several fears, and he was perpetually restless and agitated. Basically, he was a kind, intelligent, well mannered, courteous man. But sometimes he would go into this frenzy of paranoia and then he would be very disturbed. His father Gromov had been a rich and respected man, and Gromov, the elder one, had had two sons, Sergei and Ivan. When Sergei was in his fourth year of studies, he died of consumption or tuberculosis. Soon after Sergei's funeral, Gromov, the father, was arrested for fraud and missing money. He died of typhoid in jail. The house and all their things were sold off in an auction, and Ivan and his mother had nowhere to go. Ivan had been studying at the University of Petersburg, and he used to be given an allowance of 60 to 70 rubles by his father. Ruble is the Russian currency. But after the death of his father, he experienced extreme poverty. So he took tuitions from morning to night. He copied documents and he remained hungry. All the money that he made, he gave to his mother. He was very sad and very depressed. There was a sudden change in his circumstances. One moment he was a happy student, very relaxed. He had his own pocket money and he was studying in a prestigious university like the University of Petersburg. The next moment, after the death of his father, he became an impoverished student who had to work very hard to support his mother and his own education. So, depression caught up with him. He left university and he went back home. And he got a job as a teacher in a district school. But he was not liked by his colleagues, and his students also did not like him. So, he left the job. Soon, his mother also died. He was jobless for 6 months and he survived on just bread and water. Then he got the job of a court usher. He lost the job when he fell sick. Gromov had always been unhealthy and bad tempered. He wanted friends, he wanted society, but he was suspicious and irritable. So his is a very complex personality. Everything that he did very sincerely. But he considered life in the town to be very dull, boring, and meaningless. He felt and said that the town needed schools, a local newspaper, a theatre, and good lectures. He drank but little, but even that little wine would often go to his head and he would become hysterical. He spoke of women and love, but he had never been in love. Despite these contradictions, the people of the town, they loved him. They adored him. They called him Vanya, affectionately, behind his back. They respected his knowledge and they called him a walking encyclopedia. Soon, Gromov developed a strange fear of people and incidents. He felt that everyone was watching him. He felt that he was being scrutinized by the police and the ordinary people. And this fear was overwhelming. He had this fear in his mind that they would catch him and throw him into prison. This fear took over his life. And he thought about how the policemen, the doctors, and judges they became indifferent to other people's pain and sorrow after years of seeing crime and suffering. He felt that these people considered the lives of other human beings as routine and they would have no problem in giving tough punishment to ordinary people. He felt that he could not expect anything better from the people of a wretched town that was 150 miles away from a railway station. He became gloomier and depressed, and there was no one he could talk to. Whenever he saw a policeman, he feared that he would be arrested. Every knock or ring at the door petrified him. The police chief used to visit his estate near the town and return to office at midday. This was the routine of the police chief, and when he returned, he would pass in front of Ivan's house. And Ivan immediately would have this fear that he was going to be arrested. So he stopped talking to people and he hated his office job. Fear had taken over his life. He couldn't spend a moment doing anything else because there was always this fear in his mind that he would be caught, that he would be thrown into jail. He felt that others would trap him, and his fears overwhelmed him. He lost his sleep. He lost his taste for food. One day in the spring, when the snow had melted, the decomposed bodies of an old woman and a boy had been found. They had been brutally murdered. Ivan felt that he would be blamed for the murders. Some workers had come to his landlady's house to repair the stuff. He knew everything, but his mind convinced him to think that they were actually policemen in disguise who had come to catch him. He fled from the house without his coat and cap, chased by the street dogs. Ivan was brought back home, and the doctor, Andrei Yefimich, was called. He came and prescribed laurel drops and cold compresses. He also said that he must not be called again because someone going out of their minds should be allowed to do that. That is how Andrei Yefimich dealt with all the problems in the hospital. He felt that he couldn't make any change, that there was no need on his part to make any change. The hospital was in a bad shape. The hospital employees were looting the patients and medicines were being taken away. But Andrei Yefimich never did anything to control the chaotic situation in his hospital, in the hospital of which he was the master. He had been placed there by the government, but he took no responsibility. He treated the patients, and for everything else, he used philosophical arguments. Ivan was soon admitted in hospital with venereal patients. He was sleepless and disturbed other patients in the ward. So he was transferred to ward number 6 on the orders of Dr. Andrei Yefimich. The fourth patient was a fat, stupid, and unclean peasant who did not respond to Nikita's beating. He was always listless and dumb, and Nikita was the one who had to clean him whenever he passed a stool. So Nikita was very angry with him and he used to keep on beating him. But the peasant never responded, he never reacted. It was as if he took it as his fate to be beaten up by Nikita. The fifth and last patient was a man of the artisan class. He had been a sorter of letters in the post office. His eyes were cheerful and intelligent, and he behaved as if he had an important secret. He acted as if he had something hidden under his pillow or mattress. He talked of winning awards and honors like the Stanislav Order and the Swedish Pole Star. So, the inmates of ward number 6 except the fat peasant and the paralytic patient used to get up every morning, wash at the big tap at the entry to the ward. Then they were given a tin mug of tea. In the afternoon, they were given a soup of sour cabbage and boiled grain. In the evening, again, it was leftover grains. Life was monotonous, boring. They would walk inside the ward, lie down, sleep, or look out of the window. Dr. Andrei Yefimich did not admit any new lunatic patients in the ward. Once every 2 months, the barber, Semyon Lazarich, used to come to do the haircuts for the patients with the help of Nikita. It used to be a harrowing experience for the patients. Nobody visited the inmates of ward number 6. The only person who came there was Nikita. But soon there were rumors that Dr. Andrei Yefimich had started visiting ward number 6. With this, I am concluding this video. In the next video, I will tell you about Andrei Yefimich and what happens to him and the other patients. Thank you.